How are you releasing Blood from Stone?
Good question. We're still sorting it out because everything's kind of been thrown topsy-turvy with the whole COVID lockdown stuff. The initial plan of doing like a limited little theatrical release and then going to VOD kind of got torpedoed. And going straight to VOD, there's nothing wrong with that, and I'd be fine with it. But trying to figure out something, and so, who knows? Fingers crossed. I hope this can happen. Talking about doing drive-in theaters, seeing about that possibility. So I would love to. I think it's the right type of film for that. Fray would have been terrible for drive-ins. That's just not the right atmosphere for it. I think this one could be a fun one for that. So I'm hoping we can make that work. But if it doesn't, and either way, it'll go straight. It'll also same time go to VOD and streaming services. But it may, depending on what Indie Rights finds out with the whole market. They've got one film they're trying it out with first before mine. So depending on how that goes, we'll see if it's worth doing. If people actually show up for no-name indies at drive-ins, then it'd be great. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of name cachet in terms of drawing in audiences, so it's really going to depend on what audiences are up for. And with the VOD strategy, I mean, that's where you're going to find most of your audience anyways with a no-name indie. And sometimes it takes time. I mean, it took Fray, not only did, we reached those heights, it took almost 4 years for it to peak at, top 15 war and military films. So, it's not like the old days where you released it, you have a big boom of attention, and then it kind of drifts off. It's like, it's a long game with distribution with a no-name indie. It's like, at first, people might get a little bit of attention from reviews, from all that type of stuff, but it's still going to be, it's going to take time to build up that grassroots. Unless you got, $100,000 to dump into marketing, it's going to be word of mouth. People that see it recommend it to somebody else. That person recommends it to somebody else. And then hopefully enough people start watching it that the, algorithms of all these different websites start clicking in and start lifting it up in the rankings, and then you get enough reviews on Amazon, you get enough reviews on IMDb and stuff like that. People start taking notice. And so it's kind of like we're doing everything we can to try and build up enough of a release for it that it'll have the attention to make at least a little bit of a splash. Fray was a hard one. It was when it first came out, until the LA Times review came out, I couldn't pay anyone to care about that movie. Even with our festival wins, it was hard to get anybody to really care. We had some distributors interested, but in terms of media, interviews, nobody cared. The LA Times review really turned that around. But even then, it was like that was the day it was released, so it was too late to create a splash. So it became, again, about the long game. This one, hopefully, it'll be a little bit of both. Hopefully, once it releases, we'll be able to get a lot of great reviews, or, really hope it's great reviews, but we get a lot of reviews, get a lot of attention for it, and then it can build up that word of mouth because, thanks to streaming, your film, it's not like the old video store days where, your film would be on the shelf for a week and then the next week it'd be in the bargain bin. It's online as long as those platforms last. So, you got time to make back your investment and that was going back to that quote from Michael Madison from Indie Rights where being able to do it for a price where you can make your money back on VOD is essential. You're not going to make back a $2 million budget or a $5 million budget through VOD alone, but you can with with smaller budgets. So,
How does the buzz from Blood from Stone compare to Fray?
Already, even though the film's not out yet, the buzz for Blood from Stone is infinitely more than it was for Fray. Fray, it was wild because, we got Grand Jury Prize at Dance with Films, got a couple of the Best Film Awards, stuff like that. And even with that, it was so hard to get anybody to care about a no-name, depressing drama about, veterans issues. It's kind of like box office poison. So, we had distributors interested. The reason I liked going with Indie Rights was because they were they seemed very honest and straightforward about what to expect from the movie. I didn't trust any distributor that said it was going to do great. But And they did. They delivered on it, but it was so hard to get anybody to care. I mean, even just getting a blogger to interview us was a chore. Whereas this one, I had a teaser trailer cut about a year ago, like right after we wrapped shooting. I had a teaser trailer cut, and Lyndon Michael had it for one of the film markets. They just wanted to show people about this film that they have in the works, and it'll be coming out in a year. And the thing literally got pirated from a private server and leaked out to YouTube. It's like, literally nobody watched my trailer for Fray when I released it, let alone pirated it. So it was weird to think that, and had similar issues with like the new trailer that just released. Like as soon as we put it out, it was just popping up on a bunch of other sites. And so it's just interesting to do a movie that people are actually excited to see. Now again, there's no big names, but apparently it's always hard when you're the critic, because I look at it and I just see a lot of stuff I wish I could have done better or that sort of thing. But the reception I'm getting from it, from people who have seen it, is that, it looks like a really exciting, very high production value film. Just and different. People love the fact that it looks different. So it's really crazy to see that. That being said, there's still, there's going to be a lot of work put into amplifying that buzz, and that's I would say my least favorite part about the whole filmmaking process is the marketing promotion side of it. 'Cause it's like, takes this thing that for so long has been this pure art form, and now I'm turning it into a commodity and trying to sell it. And like, okay, what is going to sell this? And all of it just feels cheap and wrong. So that's the part I'm trying to get my brain wrapped around. We don't have much of a budget, so it's, so much of it's going to be in the hands of myself and the cast and crew to really self-promote it as much as possible. And so I'm grateful for the fact that there's already been some interest, and people just seem to really like what they see with it. And I guess knowing, for anyone that at least looks into me, knowing that, coming from the world of doing something like Fray, knowing that if I'm doing a vampire movie, it's not going to be, typical. I think that's helping too.
What are your expectations from Blood from Stone?
The expectations that keep me awake at night, or the ones that I'm optimistically hoping for?
Maybe both.
Yeah, I don't know. I tend to be a very hopeful pessimist. I really hope that this film can speak on a deeper level to people. Like, I made it intentionally. I hope it's a really entertaining film that people enjoy and they walk out of being like, that was a fun ride. Some of those films I mentioned earlier that I grew up loving, all of them were a fun ride. It didn't matter how serious or dark they got. They're also kind of a thrill to watch. Like, I wanted to do that, but I also, we did a test screening of it, and during the, we had everybody fill out a form, answering some questions, and afterwards just, asked them a few questions, and a few of them said, like, I actually don't know what to say about the movie yet. There's a lot to process. And I like that. I don't know, what they're going to come, what people are going to come back with. They might process it and go, wow, that was a, load of horse crap. Or maybe they'll process it and it'll speak to them on a lot of levels. But I just hope that, it's one that does at least make people think, reflect on their own past, their own actions, how our actions can infect others' lives, how somebody, with so much of the politics and social stuff going on, thinking about the impact of the past, and not just my own personal past actions, but historical past actions of an era that's putting me in the position that I'm in now, that allows me to have advantages that others don't have, and how that might breed resentment, how that might, and try to understand why people might not, might have some animosity, might have some feelings that aren't overly positive, even though I personally don't feel I've done anything wrong. Those sorts of ideas, or for somebody that's dealt with an abusive relationship, for them to find that strength to escape from it, and to know that going out on your own no matter who you are or where you're coming from. And going out on your own means having that freedom to make mistakes. So that's what I'm really hoping for. Is I like films that make you think. I like films that afterwards you have a long discussion about. I remember, watching the movie Enter the Void. Couldn't stand that film, but was mind blown by it at the same time. I was like, friends I went to see it with, we had a 4-hour conversation after the movie just about the movie. And I still personally not a fan of the film. Hated all the characters in it. But it was an amazing film that just, like, I have so much more respect for something like that than something you walk out of and you start thinking about, and you're like, wait, I don't even remember what I just watched. So that's what I'm hoping to get out of it. And then on an aspirational side, I would love for it to do well because honestly, I want to do a sequel for it. I really do. I want to explore the matriarchy of this vampire clan. I want to meet their mom. I want to see Victoria and her wife Claudia. I want to see where Daria's life goes, and I want to be able to do that story. So that's the aspirational hope for it, is that it does well so I can keep exploring that world.
Is that your next project, or that's just
theoretically
in the future? Oh.
It'd be more expensive than this one, so this movie better do really well, otherwise that's not happening. Because that one requires castles, and I also want to have flashbacks to when Yurei first met Daria and where her animosity for him started, why she has a grudge against him. I want to show her life, kind of where it was, dealing with that cyclical nature of existence and civilizations and all that. I would love the sequel to actually explore that, literally have those flashbacks to the past and how those are so tied to the now and the present, and be able to show that full circle as opposed to just talk about it. So I would love to go that direction with it if I can. If not, I have another micro-budget script that I'm working on that deals with a lot of other similar themes, but is also a passion project that I've had for a while fermenting in the back of my head.